Imagine a world where the US isn't the only superpower. That's the scenario we're currently grappling with as the dynamics of global power shift. The emergence of China as a potent player on the world stage has become a reality that the United States, and indeed the world, must come to terms with. China's ascent doesn't only signify an economic transformation, it's a seismic shift in global geopolitics, a reordering of the world as we know it. And this transformation has not been without its share of tensions. The US-China relationship, a complex interplay of cooperation and competition, has experienced significant strain over the past few years. Spy allegations, trade restrictions, and a host of other issues have fueled the fire. The US, with its long-standing dominance in the realm of high-tech, has placed stringent restrictions on the export of cutting-edge technology to China. This move, seen as a bid to maintain control over high-end value chains, has been met with strong pushback from China. The accusations of espionage, often termed as spy balls, have added another layer to this multifaceted conflict. The US has accused China of infiltrating its institutions and stealing intellectual property, charges that China vehemently denies. Meanwhile, China has accused the US of being unwilling to adhere to the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and mutually beneficial cooperation, principles that it believes should govern the relationship between major powers. This is not merely a dispute between two nations, it's a clash between two visions of global order, two different approaches to international relations. The US, struggling to adapt to the rise of another superpower, is being confronted with the limits of its own power. And yet, amidst this landscape of escalating tensions, there are voices calling for reason, for a shift in direction. China's foreign minister, Wang Yi, recently made a statement that encapsulates this sentiment. He said that the challenge to America comes not from China, but from America's own unwillingness to accept that another power can be on par with itself. And that brings us to the recent statement by China's foreign minister, Wang Yi. The road to Wang Yi's statement is paved with diplomatic tensions and power struggles, a testament to the complex dynamics of global power plays. The narrative begins with the San Francisco negotiations, a pivotal moment in the US-China relationship. This meeting, which took place in November of 2023, was a testament to the leaders' desire to reduce trade tensions. Chinese President Xi Jinping and US President Joe Biden agreed to work towards easing the strain. A commitment that unfortunately, according to Wang Yi, failed to materialize from the American side. The strain between these two global powers was not solely about trade. Accusations of espionage, symbolized by the infamous spy balls incident, created significant distrust. The US alleged that China was using high-tech methods to spy on its activities, a claim that only served to further exacerbate the tension. And then there's the issue of technology, a battleground where both nations sought to assert their dominance. The US imposed restrictions on the export of high-tech chips to China, a move seen by many as a direct attempt to stifle China's technological advancement. This action, however, was viewed by China as an affront, a clear sign of the US's unwillingness to see another power rise to its level. In the midst of these escalating tensions, Wang Yi made his controversial statement. He pointed out that the US was not being challenged by China, but rather by its own reluctance to accept that another power could be its equal. He highlighted the US's attempts to monopolize high-end value chains and its efforts to suppress China's legitimate aspirations for economic development. All these events, the negotiations, the accusations, the restrictions, all of which culminated in Wang Yi's controversial statement. A statement that not only underscores the current state of US-China relations, but also serves as a stark reminder of the challenges America faces, not from an external adversary, but from its own self-perception and approach to global competition. On March 7th, Wang Yi made a statement that sent ripples across the globe. It was a bold proclamation, a stark shift in tone and a clear indication of China's perspective on the strained relationship with the United States. Wang Yi, China's foreign minister, pointedly stated that America's biggest challenge is not China, but its own inability to accept another power on par with itself. That's a heavy statement, isn't it? Let's break it down further. The crux of Wang Yi's argument is rooted in the concept of balance of power. He suggests that the United States, long considered the world's leading superpower, is grappling with the rise of China and the subsequent shift in the global power dynamic. But why is this a challenge? Well, it's not just about pride or bragging rights. It's a matter of global influence and control. It's about economic dominance and the ability to shape international norms and standards. Wang Yi argues that America's reluctance to accept another power on equal footing is causing it to act out of character, to act out of fear rather than confidence. He goes on to accuse the U.S. of exhibiting monopolistic tendencies, particularly in the high-end value chains. The accusation here is that the U.S. is attempting to restrict other countries from advancing economically rather than accepting their legitimate desires for economic development. This, according to Wang Yi, is not how fair competition works, but it doesn't stop there. Wang Yi also calls out the U.S. for its constant innovation in methods of suppressing China. He points to the expanding list of unilateral sanctions and claims that U.S. promises have not been fulfilled. It's a direct critique of the U.S.'s approach to handling the tense relationship with China, and a plea for reason and fairness. In his statement, Wang Yi also touched upon the absurd levels to which the U.S. has gone in its efforts to accuse China of wrongdoing. It's a pointed critique aimed at highlighting the extremes the U.S. is willing to go to maintain its position of power. And then comes the warning. Wang Yi cautions that if the U.S. continues with its obsession of suppressing China, it will eventually harm itself. It's a wake-up call, a plea for the U.S. to adjust its direction and act reasonably when dealing with China. Because as he rightly points out, the future of the world depends on how these two superpowers treat each other. And with that, Wang Yi set a new tone for U.S.-China relations. In a world where power dynamics are constantly shifting and evolving, Wang Yi's statement serves as a stark reminder of the need for mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and mutually beneficial cooperation. It's a call for a new approach, a new way of navigating the complex landscape of international relations. And it's a message that resonates far beyond the borders of China and the United States. It's a message for the world. Wang Yi's statement isn't just words. It's a warning of what's to come. Imagine a world where the United States and China, two of the globe's most powerful nations, can coexist peacefully, respecting each other's influence and power. That's the vision China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi put forth. However, he cautions that this vision is at risk if the United States continues to resist the idea of China as an equal player on the global stage. This resistance, Wang Yi argues, isn't just detrimental to U.S.-China relations, but could also have far-reaching consequences for global politics. The world we live in is interconnected. No country exists in isolation. Hence, the actions of one nation, especially one as influential as the United States, can send ripples across the world. An unwillingness to accept another power on equal footing could lead to increased tensions, not just between the U.S. and China, but also among other nations. It could strain alliances, disrupt global trade, and even potentially ignite conflicts. On the other hand, mutual respect and cooperation between the U.S. and China could usher in a new era of global diplomacy. It could pave the way for collective action on global issues, from climate change to economic inequality. It could promote peace, prosperity, and stability, not just in the U.S. and China, but across the world. Wang Yi's statement, therefore, is more than just a critique of U.S. policy. It's a call to action. It's an invitation for the U.S. to engage in fair competition, to respect China's legitimate desires for economic development, and to abandon its efforts to suppress China. However, the question remains, will the U.S. heed this call? Will it adjust its course and adopt a more reasonable approach towards China? Only time will tell. The future of the world may very well depend on how the U.S. and China treat each other, and that's a thought to ponder upon.